Hi, Junior with today's thought. You may have heard the phrase the stupid party. The stupid party is a moniker that's applied to the Republicans because they have a tendency to do stupid things and blow elections that they're on course to win. I'm worried that this, even though I am not a Republican, I'm a conservative independent, but still, you can tell which way I'm going to vote. I'll be voting for the Republican candidate, and I'm a little concerned that they are doing something really stupid. And what they're doing, well, we all know this is the big news, right? But of course, everybody knows by now, Biden has dropped out. He's dropped out of the race. He's not running for re-election. Now, this has happened before, by the way, in my lifetime anyways. This happened before 1968, but in 1968, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, dropped out because he could look at the polls and he knew that he could not win. Now, in the case of Joe Biden, he's been looking at the polls, or somebody's been looking at the polls for him and getting him to admit that the polls are not good. But also, and this is the important part, contributions were drying up. You had billionaire donors saying, we're not donating another penny, dime, dollar. We're not donating anything as long as Joe Biden is a candidate. And cutting off the supply of money, that's like putting a tourniquet on your arm, figuratively speaking, or on your whole body, or on your neck, right? So, which is one place you do not want a tourniquet. So that's the situation that they're in right now. Now, the Republicans, they're making this case. The reason he's not running is because of that disastrous debate. We all saw, the whole world actually saw how much in decline he is. But the Republicans are making this argument that if Biden they're saying that he's dropping out only because of his physical and mental condition, that he would not be capable of holding the office, performing the duties of office for another 4.5 years. I agree with that. But they are saying that if he is too mentally and physically frail to run for re-election, that he is also not able to perform the duties of the presidency another day, let alone 4.5 years, and he should drop out right now. The argument against that is to say, well, I can go for the next 6 months until the election, but I can't go for the next 4 years and 6 months. So that would be the argument that I would make. And that's what I think is what he just realizes that he can't win, and that's why he's dropping out. But the Republicans are saying that if Biden is not in any condition to run for the presidency, he is not in any condition to be president, and that he should resign right now. Now, I doubt that's going to happen very much. And number two, if he doesn't want to resign, then you would need to activate the 25th Amendment, which would be kind of uncomfortable because Kamala Harris obviously wants to be the nominee. That's a whole other story we can get to one of these days. But for her, the exercise of the 25th Amendment begins with the vice president. She would have to say that he is no longer able to perform the duties of the office, and she would have the prospective, or somebody who definitely wants to be the candidate, would be the one pushing out Biden. So you can see how that would look. Plus, she's been covering up for him for literally years, and to suddenly turn on a dime, well, you can see how the whole thing really stinks and how it really looks. So that, I don't see that happening, but the Republicans have to realize, because they are the ones who are really calling for him to drop out. And they have this stupid idea in their head, I think, that, well, first of all, let's not get into the politics of it until we talk about just the practical implications for the country, because that has to come first, regardless of the politics. And the idea is that Biden cannot perform the duties of the office, and Kamala Harris is younger, and her mental faculties, as dumb as she is, her brain is physically functioning correctly. So, and she's physically okay. So that's the idea that she should be the president. But at the end of the day, the president, she will either be the commander in chief, or the people running the country, who have been running the country for Joe Biden, will be continuing to run the country for her. Now, if they if there's this cabal that is behind the president, then running the country, then you really don't get anything from Kamala Harris, and you would hope maybe that they would be running the country, whoever these unknown people are, and then Kamala Harris, because her decisions will be really bad. She's very, very far left, more so than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, he ran as a moderate, but Kamala Harris, no such thing. She would be very, very far left, and she would make all the open border. Do you think they're bad now? She's not going to do anything to shut the border. She's going to continue. The policies would remain the same. Now, if there's another theory that Kamala Harris has been running the country, or has been one of the people in this unknown junta or oligarchy who have been running the country, and that so she would just continue. She would be running the country officially as president, but she could still, if that's what she was doing, then she could still run the country as vice president. Now, the problem, if you make Kamala Harris, if Joe Biden drops out or is forced out and she becomes the president, there is this presidential prediction methodology. I've talked about it in the past, called the 13 keys to the White House. It's basically 13 true or false statements that are applied to the current administration, and if 5 of these keys are false, 5 or more, if more than 5 are false, so if 6 or more are false, then the party out of power, which would be the Republicans, we're talking about the White House, would win the election. If 5 or fewer are false, then the incumbent party stays in power, and it doesn't matter who the president is. Now, the problem with criticizing this is that he's been right in every single election, except for since he started using this method. Alan Lichtman, a professor at American University, he developed the model, and he's been using it since 1984, and he's been correct on every election except Bush versus Gore, where he was right on the popular vote, but he was wrong on that was a very close election, right? Decided by only 500 votes in Florida. So he was right on the popular vote, wrong on the Electoral College by 1 state, but still, that's a pretty darn good record. And one of the keys is the candidate for the incumbent party. Is that candidate the sitting president? Is that president? So, in other words, sometimes you have the president, the incumbent president running for re-election for a second term, and then other times you have it's an open contest, and the incumbent is not running, and so then that particular key would be triggered false. But right now, until Biden dropped out, that key was true, that Biden was the incumbent, so that was one key in favor of the Democrats. And that's why Alan Lichtman, Professor Lichtman, was arguing that no matter what condition Biden is in, he should not drop out because he's the incumbent, because then that key would flip false. Whoever would replace him would not be the incumbent president. And would be the situation right now if Biden stays remains as president until the election. Then he is not running for re-election, and even if Kamala Harris wins the nomination, she is not the incumbent president. She is the vice president. So that key will flip false. Now, if Biden drops out as the vice president, she becomes the president, and then never mind the God help us for various reasons, any number of reasons, if Kamala Harris is president of the United States for even 6 days, let alone 6 months. But that key will then remain true because she will be the incumbent. The party, the candidate for the incumbent party will be the sitting president. So you see, it's really, and then even if you don't believe in these keys, or if you don't put much credence in them, and it has been wrong once, right? But not very, once out of every election since 1984. And that is a pretty good record. So the best record I know of all these prediction models, except maybe the betting models. But the point is that even if you put no credence or very little credence in that methodology, just common sense should tell you that if she becomes president today, then she will start making decisions, and then she will be able to run on those decisions, and she could make centrist, common sense decisions just for the next 6 months to win the election, and then win the election, and then go far, far, far to the left of where even Joe Biden is. So you see, that's why I say the Republicans are sometimes a stupid party. They should not be. They should say it's up to the Democrats. We're running on ideas. Their ideas are bad. Whoever becomes the candidate, the new candidate, will implement those ideas should that candidate win, and that should be their argument. And they should stop all this stuff of trying to get Biden to drop out for all the reasons I said, plus re-emphasizing the initial reasoning I made, which I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the 25th Amendment, even if you want to use the 25th Amendment, it would take time to implement unless Biden, well, see, that's what they could do. They could go to Biden, now that I'm thinking, and go to Biden and says that if you do not if you do not resign the office of the presidency, then we are going to invoke the 25th Amendment. But there's the left right now they're freaking out right now. I could show you videos. I don't want to make this too long, but Van Jones crying and Chris Coons, Senator Chris Coons, crying over Biden dropping out, and even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is freaking out over it. So I would, as Trump has wisely done ever since that debate that really hurt Biden, is just kind of keep quiet. And whenever Trump speaks and he's starting to use the moniker of Crooked Joe and all that, he should be presidential. But don't get me started on that. Today's thought is long enough. It's just the basic message. Don't be stupid, Republicans. Don't make this one of those times where, again, the Republicans pull defeat out of the jaws of victory. Just use your brain, okay? Use your brain. And that's my thought for today. Well, except that you could all use your brain. Show me how wise you are by subscribing to this channel. If you have any comments, you can demonstrate your wisdom that way by putting comments in the comment section below the video. And you can also share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. All three of those steps would show you to be a very wise and astute person, as well as coming back to see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.